Previously on The Faithful and the Fallen, we last left our heroes fleeing from, I want to say, Terrace. No? Yes, Terrace. Duncarrig? One of those castle places where most of the characters had passed away in a horrendous, chaotic war. Corban and his mother and his stable hand, which is actually an angel, and some old man and Brenna, the witch. There's some few other people. There's like a pretty good mess of people that survived this thing, and they're fleeing on a boat. So this starts out with the trope of running away, fleeing, kind of like Lord of the Rings and The Wheel of Time and Dragon Bone Chair. There's a lot of like fleeing stuff constantly up your ass where you're just running across the country. So the first half of the book, I wasn't really feeling it at first. It wasn't slow. I can't say that it was bad. There was stuff happening, but it was just a lot of traveling. And they're introducing some new characters because all the old characters had died. But then you do find out that two of the characters that you thought had died had not died. Kywin and Connor. Which Kywin is Corban's sister and Connor is Wrath's son, who was like second or third in line for a throne or something, and he turns bad. There's a lot of people with Celtic names, and a lot of them start with the letter C. And there's like the place called Cambrin, and there's a guy called Camlin, and all these like C words. You get everybody confused. And then they start bringing in these new characters, and like one guy named Uthras or I don't know. He was a guy. He was a giant man, but I didn't realize Uthas. I didn't know he was a giant for a long time because it wasn't really clear. And all these places. They keep going. Like, I kind of want to get I know I want a Westeros Game of Thrones map for my wall. I want, like, maybe a map of Stormlight Archive and some other places. And it'd be cool if they made those maps where not only are they framed on your wall, but they had, like, lines. Like, the path that the characters took, where they went throughout the different books. Like, you have maybe labeled, like, this character went all the way to the red line, and the blue line, this character went over here. That'd be pretty dope. This one, they seem to be going like a big counterclockwise circle around the map. Because where it ends, I think they're going to be going east to Drasil, which is kind of like Yggdrasil from Nordic mythology, or Teldrassil, or what's the big one in World of Warcraft? Darnassus? That doesn't sound anything like that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yes, the first half of the book's kind of slow. Kywin kind of gets taken captive, and now when they get done fleeing, they meet up with some folks, and then they start turning the tides of the war, and Corban, you realize he's the bright star, and Nathair is the dark sun, the black sun. Yeah. But both of them think they're the bright star. Both of them think they're the good guys. So at the end, spoiler alert, when they break into the cauldron room, they're trying to get this cauldron because it's one of the 7 treasures and it's like crucial to the plot. There's all these, like, the angels, or the bad angels start taking over the bodies of the warriors that were meant to, like, protect the world, and they realize they've been deceived. And they start just ripping people apart because they're so strong, and this battle's taking place and shit. And then, like, Nathair is just standing there like, what? I'm the bad guy? Because he thinks he's the good guy the whole time. Even though he's starting to do bad things. He's making bad choices. And his first sword, Valor, I can't keep their names straight, man. Veritas, he's actually a good guy, but he also, the guy that's like traveling with him, Calidus, he like appeared as this angel and convinced them all that he was the bright sun because he can turn into an angel. So it must have been some kind of like glamour magic, or maybe it's like he's a fallen angel so he can look like an angel, and that just kind of tricked everybody. So you got good guys that are working for bad things, and you've got good guys that are working for good things, and you've also got bad guys just plain up bad shit. Like you got this pirate king guy that took over. They gave him one of these like voodoo dolls to control this woman, and he just starts like raping her and like taking over her lands and like doing all this evil. He starts like making these fighting pits, and that was pretty dope because this guy Macwin, he's like Spartacus all of a sudden. He's like one of the last of the Gadrai, that the giant killing people that are supposed to be really good warriors. And they just have to start killing innocent people because they're put into a fighting pit, like in Rome. So it's like they're not really as much Vikings as they are. Kind of remind you of Romans, like Roman Catholicism, because they got like some Christian kind of angels and demons kind of stuff happening, and pretty fucking dope. And I hear the next book, Ruin, is like the best one of the series. But I have switched over to read Morning Star, the final book of the Red Rising saga, and I kind of want to talk about it because it starts out so good and it's so badass. But then I'm going to wait and do its own review. But also, I'm going to start reading the Jade City Greenbone saga after that. So I'm pretty hyped. Yeah, so there's the Spartacus part, and there was some other part that was really good. Let me see the names of these people. Man. There's a thing at the beginning. Coraline. There's another C word. Coraline and Connell are brother and sister. Coraline's pretty cool. There's a little bit of like romance kind of stuff happening throughout the book too. Even like with old people. Some of these I don't really know. Nemain, see that's a giant name. Uthas, Braith, Geraint, Morkant, Mandros, Mandros, Mayev. There's a lot of M names too that are kind of confusing. Yeah, I feel like there was like another part, but it got good. Oh, there's like this whole prophecy, like the bright star and the dark sun, or the black sun. They say something about like you're going to be a friend of giants. They'll be riding on these dregs, and there's something about he'll be coming with a storm and a shield, and then Korban has a horse named Storm or named Shield, and his wolf is named Storm. So that just tells you right there. Oh yeah, when they put on they killed a pack of wolven. They killed like an evil pack of wolven. He's got the one pet one, but they ended up killing a bunch of them. And he's like, I've got a plan for this. And he skins a bunch of them and he makes wolf cloaks. I'm like, yes, it's just like the start of Red Rising. They're all going to wear wolf cloaks. It's going to be dope. And they made claws. And they got wolf cloaks. Kind of like in Skyrim with Ulfric. Stormcloak. No, they didn't really have wolf cloaks. But I don't know. It gives you those vibes, man. You got the wolf shit, and then you got the Spartacus shit, and the second half of this book just kind of kicked off, and it was almost better than the first book. The second half of this book might be better than the first book, but the first book was probably, because it's doing all the setting up of the plot and the characters and everything, is pretty dope the way I like the first book a lot. But the third book's supposed to be the best, so I'm pretty hyped about getting back into this once I read some other authors. But, I gave it 4 stars, just because the first half was a little bit lagging. But, yeah, when you read Red Rising and you read this, it's like, everybody says Joe Abercrombie's a grimdark guy. These are, like, way more brutal. It's like, that Nevernight. I mean, when you're, like, doing stuff like knocking somebody's teeth out so they can suck dick, and, like, keeping them tied up, and you give them a gun, and you tell them to shoot you, and they're just too scared to do it that they throw the gun down because they've been so, like, what is it, desensitized, or, like, what's that syndrome when you, like, kidnap somebody and they start loving you? There's way more fucked up things in the world you find out when you read books than it is just, like, you can say, like, I don't care what you do to me, I'd rather be dead. There's way worse things than death. There's torture. There is, like, well, not in real life, but there's like mind control and making you do things you'd never do. Not only just like raping people with mind control, but using your mind control to make you become an evil person or do things like against your honor, or like convince you that hell is real to make you do a thing that will send you to hell. Like, holy shit, you're doing some crazy shit now that's like way beyond just like child trafficking or murdering babies. That's like small change. Like killing all of the Jews and fucking Hitler stuff, that's just like small potatoes. We've come up with a lot more scarier, evil shit since then. It's like some of the characters that are in, like, just this are, like, worse than Hitler. Each one of them is, like, they're so racist. And even, like, the Golds and the Red Rising Saga, they're so racist against people that are not Golds or people that are not them. They just, like, they treat them like less than, like, you know, like in a video game, you would fuck around with a character and, like, throw him off a cliff or just smash his face in, or, like, I mean, it's like torturing small animals. It's like, it's not even, it's worse than that, because they don't even think of them as being, like, a person or an animal or a living creature. They just, like, smash their toe in and rip their ears off. Just like, just don't give a fuck. It's just have no compassion. I don't know. I guess it's good that people aren't like that in real life, and it's just all in books, I guess. Hopefully. Hopefully people aren't that evil, but people are able to think of stuff like this and write it down, so it makes you scared to go outside. Then you got people shooting up schools. We're getting way past the book review now, but holy shit, boys. There's evil in the world, but we've come up with it.